Hi, can you guys hear me? Okay, I'm going to move the mics up. Good morning. My name is Michelle Spencer, and I am a special education advocate. I'll just kind of talk to you guys a little bit about how I became an advocate, what I do, and some suggestions and things to help you with the IEP and the ARD process. A lot of you are probably familiar with an ARD, I think, if you have children with special education needs, the annual review dismissal. That's what we call it in the state of Texas. Other states, it might just be considered the IEP, which is an individualized education plan. So I have a 26-year-old son with autism, and everything I do today that I learned from Tyler. So, going through the school system and learning all of the services that can be available for your kids, what the school will actually tell you that's available for your kids are really two different things. So it started for me when my son was in a great school district that I went to in Fort Bend ISD. I don't have anything negative to say about them, but a lot of these districts just don't really know exactly what to do about special education or have an understanding of the system, even though they're the educators, which is shocking to me, but you will learn this if you already haven't. So Tyler had gone to 8 different schools in 10 years in the early mid 2000s because a lot of the schools didn't have a proper program, so they would just transfer him to several other schools in the district. At one point, they just weren't properly able to educate my son. He was having a lot of behavioral problems. I feel like they were getting worse with classes they would put him to and move him to, which is understandable because transitions are so hard for a lot of these kids and learning new teachers, learning new peers. So I had to go through something called a due process where I got a special education lawyer and I was able to prove that they could not properly educate my son. So we got placement for him through the Texas Education Agency, and they paid for my son to go to a private school for 10 years, which was a blessing in disguise. Like sometimes you're going through the most horrible things. You don't realize the outcome is so amazing for what we got for him. And praise God, I think this helped him with where he's at today. My son's 26. He lives in a group home. If you guys are probably a lot younger than me, some of you, but if you've seen the movie Rain Man, that's a lot like my son. So he's very smart with dates and birthdays and numbers, but he just can't get the everyday things. So he needs everyday supports. I'm 53 years old. His father's deceased. And the truth is, when people ask you these questions like, well, why did you decide to put him in a group home? And how did you come to that term? Because it's not about me. It's about Tyler. And I won't be here forever. And, God willing, if something happened tomorrow, I had to have these things in place or I can't lay my head down at night. So he's in a group home. He's thriving. He's doing really well. He goes to an adult day program. This goes back to what Mr. Hanley had spoke about. My son in Texas, we had to wait 16 years for that HCS Medicaid waiver program. So I'm constantly speaking to families that I help with my advocacy work on getting on this wait list because Tyler got on it when he was 4 and he was eligible for it when he was 20. However, he didn't move to a group home until he was 23. He's really close to me. He's about 20 minutes away and he's with me almost every weekend. So I still need to be a huge part of his life and I miss him. But I really want to speak more about, how I got there and what I learned from Tyler. And so I just want to mention to you guys that when you're going through your ARD, which is annual, or your IEP meeting, that the school will go over your child's goals, their accommodations, services they qualify for, and what they're offering for them. And I find so many times, even for myself in the early years, you're just really confused and lost. I mean, if your school's on a 6-week or 9-week grading program, for instance, they may offer your child speech therapy services 5 times in a 9-week period. And a lot of parents just accept that or agree because they don't realize there's anything more they can ask for or the school would offer more than that. So my goal in that area is when I go into a meeting and we're going over the goals, we're going over the education plan and the accommodations, I ask the district, if I know this child is in need of a lot more speech and they're struggling with that area, my first question is, what's the maximum amount of speech that your district offers per child? And they kind of look at me like, I said, I need to know what that number is. So my goal is that I'm trying to get this child at least twice a week and on a 9-week grading period. So, and the things that you can back that up with is by stating that you're going to get a lot more out of my kid the more comfortable they become with you and, get a relationship with this person, and then you're going to get a lot more out of them. So that works 9 times out of 10. They really can't deny you the service that they're able to offer if you're asking for that. And that can go with OT therapy as well. There's a lot of other, programs that parents aren't even familiar with. And it's unfortunate we don't get a menu for this. So it's not like you're like, hey, they can get this, they can get this, they can get this. Even parents can struggle at home or in the community. There's a service in most districts that's called home community support. In-home trainer. I get that confused. In-home training. So your school can contract with a person that's an ABA specialist or behavior specialist that can actually come into your home as a service and help to implement things that are going in school to exactly how you can implement them in your home. They can help you in the community if you're struggling, at church or outings or family functions. And that might not sound like something that you really need, but sometimes you do really need that. And it helps kind of design things in your home that are designed in the school where they spend most of their time in the classroom. And then if you just feel really unsure and you're confused, your emotions play a role in these meetings, and they just go everything really quickly with you. And they're like, do you have any questions? And then you move along. So you're moving along to their next year's plan, to ESY, if they may qualify for extended school year program. A lot of times this would be based on regression, or if they have a long break and they're not able to retain the stuff that they would learn, then they would qualify for the summer program. Even though it might be short and small, these kids need a lot. Whatever we can offer them to help them continue to make progress, I'm all for that. I think it's good for them, and it's something that if it's available, they should be able to receive. But if you feel like you're in a position where you don't agree, and if you guys may already know some of this, you don't have to agree in your ARD meeting. You will be in non-consensus. And this means that you will meet back within 10 school days to come up with ideas, or the school come up with ideas of something that you can agree on that might work better for your child. And whether this is in-class support. So your child may be in a gen ed class, and let's say they're really struggling and they need more help in that class, rather than just putting them in a placement class, which might not be the right fit for them. So I stand really strong on getting a child in class support where they may have someone coming in maybe 225 minutes per week or more that is there to support their needs during the learning time, to sit with them, to go over things, to make sure that they're getting it. And a lot of times you'll get a lot of push from these districts or these teachers, and a lot of it, y'all, always has to do with funding. But here's my whole idea on that. That's not my problem. That's not your problem. That's not your child's problem. That's a district problem. We pay a lot of tax dollars. These kids should get a free public education. And if that includes a paraprofessional or someone in there to help them, then, most of the time when you know this stuff and you're very adamant about that, you can usually get good resolution in these meetings. But I wish that I would have had someone like me all of the years my son went to 8 different schools in 10 years, because I just did what they told me to do. I thought, okay, they know what they're doing. I don't think I have a choice. But at the end of the day, we have a lot of choices. We know our kids better than the school knows our kids. And our opinions really do matter when it comes to their educational needs and the help we know that works best for our kids. So most families contact me in desperation, and they're in a horrible moment and things are going pretty bad in their school system. So either they have an upcoming IEP or ARD meeting, or we schedule one. And with all of the knowledge I have and everything I've learned over the 23 years that I did this for my son, I'm really great at helping resolve these problems when you can't come to agreement with this committee or the services that your child deserves and needs to get in the public school system. So that's what I do, and that's kind of about me and what my service is. So I don't know if you guys have any questions, or sometimes there's a lot of questions. I can speak about more, but if you guys want to ask me anything, I could probably answer any question that you have. And I know it's a little different in every state, but the laws are the same. So I actually do virtual meetings. I've done some in Utah, I've done some in Idaho, California. So I'm able to help families throughout the United States.
So this isn't really a question, but just kind of a comment to the group. my daughter's last IEP meeting was extremely contentious. We hired someone to come in and help us. Our CLTS program in Wisconsin was able to pay for those people to sit down, talk with us about our daughter, and we actually wrote what we wanted to see in an IEP and compared that at the IEP meeting to what they were offering us. We also had a group in Wisconsin called Facets, which can provide you with an advocate free of charge. But also, they know the laws in and out. And if the school district tries to tell you that something isn't possible, if the school district tries to, tell you this or that, Facets can tell you, or whatever, entity in your state can tell you what the real law is and what you can and cannot kind of go for, because our district tried everything to try to get us to lay down and accept what they were giving us. And I'm so glad that we, had hired someone to help us go in there. We had our ABA team in there. We had the leadership from the special education department at her district in the room. Like, we brought in everybody we could to try to get this done.
Exactly what you do to get your goal accomplished. The more people you have, a tutor, an ABA, speech, whomever.
Not well liked, but
Okay, because I'm a really respectful professional advocate, but my kids are out of Fort Bend, and I'm not there to make friends. I'm there to help kids. So I'm, just trying to do what my heart and passion is for what I did for my own son, because these kids have one shot and they deserve the best and all the services they need to support them. So I totally agree with what you're saying.
Yeah, and I just, the team at the IEP meeting, I said the more we do for her, like the more functional she's going to be as an adult and the less support that she's going to need. But it starts now. Like, if we don't have things in place now, like, we can't expect her to reach her potential. So yeah, we went through the whole funding.
Get that IEP like imperfect like that. Look, they rarely come back to talk to you. Like, they like me, and these people are like, I'm like the Karen you love and the Karen you hate, but here's the real deal. They don't want me to come back to the meeting.
Thank you for everything.
Oh, of course.
I know you said you work with people out of state on consultations. Do you ever join IEP meetings virtually?
Oh, yes, all the time.
So that's an option.
Free 20-minute consultations. So if you guys see my website here, you can pull it up. You can call me and I'll answer questions, try to give you some guidance or advice. You may not need an advocate in a meeting, if I talk to you and give you things to say. And the good thing is you can tell the committee, I've reached out to a special education advocate and they gave me a lot of information to bring to the table today. And that already helps you, just with that being said. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
One of the biggest problems we've had is fighting for paraprofessional or teacher aid support when our daughter is no longer displaying adverse behaviors in school, but for, like what you said, making sure she's writing down what she needs to be writing down, that she's understanding, that they're sort of breaking it down for her. Do you have any advice for that particular? Right now she's in a pretty good spot, but I always fear what's coming,
Yeah. I always tell them when something's working and she's succeeding and we're at the point where we're at, I'm not going backwards. So I'm not comfortable to remove that because I think we're just going to spiral right back to where we were and then she's going to regress. So I'd prefer to keep that service. And sometimes that can work for you in your favor. And then, of course, they want to talk about the data. So, sometimes they're going to go with what that supports. But a lot of times you can just fight them against saying, I'm just not ready to remove that because it's been helpful for her. And she may need to continue that on for several years throughout school. Mm-hmm.
Thank you so much for coming. And
Thank you.